comes Mayfield. He closes in on Earnhardt. He is on the back bumper. Gives him a nudge. Earnhardt slides up the track. Here comes Mayfield for the lead as Earnhardt almost hits the wall in 3.
Mayfield will come underneath Earnhardt off the final corner. His hand is out the window at the checkered flag. Jeremy Mayfield is going to win the Pocono 500.
It was the Earnhardt strategy in reverse. Give them a touch, as he says, rattle their cage a little, and steal the honors. Earnhardt, this time the victim. Mayfield, the intimidator.
That's part of it, you know. He's got me plenty of times, and that's the only time I ever got him. I mean, he can't say a word, you know. I just want to rattle his cage a little bit, you know what I mean?
And what did Earnhardt say to Mayfield as he pointed to him on the cool-down lap?
Told me he's number 1.
Mayfield and Earnhardt, the Pocono rematch, right now.
One minute until they start the engines. 43 Winston Cup cars lined up single file, ready to go for 200 laps, 500 miles, $2.6 million at stake. Included in the principals, of course, Dale Earnhardt. Mike Mazzara was with him.
And already it's been an emotional weekend for Dale Earnhardt. First, frustration after qualifying on Friday. Then anxiety on Saturday as his son Dale Jr. slapped the wall. The spirits improved as the times improved in happy hour. But right now, it's the best mood he's been in all day. He sits inside the car, focused and ready to race. To Marty Snyder.
The mood in the Jeremy Mayfield camp is positive. The car in happy hour just about perfect. And in June, that incident's well past him now. This is one of Jeremy's favorite tracks is Pocono. I just asked him what he thought about a second straight Pocono win. He said the chances are pretty doggone good.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
That strange silence that always filters over a racetrack just before that command. Broken now as 43 cars grumble to life and get ready to compete for 500 miles. Let's go topside. Meet the man who'll be calling the action today. Here's Alan Bestwick.
Ken, thank you. Hello from Pocono, where we have all the ingredients together for a very fun afternoon of NASCAR competition. We've got perfect weather, a close championship race, a tremendously tight field of cars and drivers in qualifying, and a racetrack that historically has provided us with a lot of entertainment. Joining me for the call of today's Pennsylvania 500, the executive editor of Speedway Illustrated magazine, Dick Berggren. And Dick, let's talk about this field of drivers in today's race. The list of potential winners is huge.
Yeah, we've got some hungry guys starting in this event. On the pole, Tony Stewart. He might have won here in June, except stalled the car in the pits and lost on the final stop. Rusty Wallace starts on the outside of the front row. He led the most laps here in June. Bad pit strategy. He lost as well. Starting third, Mark Martin. He's hungry. He has finished in the top 5.5 of his starts here at Pocono. Never won. This is going to be good.
Also joining me for the call of today's race, he was the very first Winston Cup pole winner ever here at Pocono. He's led many laps here. Buddy Baker. And Buddy, one of the big stars of today's race also will be the Speedway itself.
Well, really, the track is as much star as anyone in the field here. You know, it has 3 different type corners here, all banked differently. All the straightaways are different in length. And then you have that tricky tunnel turn. A lot of people say maybe the most difficult turn in all of racing. To win here, you must conquer the Pocono Star.
Not an easy thing to do, that's for sure. Field of cars are getting set to roll from the pit lane and begin their parade and pace laps. Why don't we take a look at the starting lineup for today's race? Starting with the man on the pole, it is Tony Stewart. His first pole of the 2000 season comes with a new track record speed. Rusty Wallace alongside, winner 2 times in the Pennsylvania 500. Mark Martin is inside of row number 2 alongside Jeremy Mayfield. Jeremy scoring the win in the most recent Winston Cup event here 5 weeks ago. Row number 3 is Jeff Gordon and Jerry Nadeau. Gordon, a 3-time winner here at Pocono. Nadeau, maybe a dark horse candidate to get his first Winston Cup win today. Row 4 will be Bill Elliott, 4 times a victor at this track, and Jeff Burton, winner at Daytona just a few weeks ago. Row number 5 is Johnny Vincent, whose best finish so far this year, a 2nd place at Bristol, and Steve Park with his 6th top 10 start of 2000. Row number 6, Dale Jarrett, 2-time Pennsylvania 500 winner, finished 2nd the last 2 races here, and John Andretti looking to give Petty Enterprises their first win here since 1976. Row 7 is Bobby Labonte, the current Winston Cup championship leader, won both races here a year ago, and Ricky Rudd ran very strong in June. He could be a favorite to win today. Row number 8 is Dale Earnhardt Jr. He will drop to the back on the pace lap in the backup car after the crash we showed you a while ago. And Joe Nemechek, the runner-up at New Hampshire last race out. Row number 9 is Mike Skinner, scored 2 consecutive top 10 finishes here. And Dave Blaney, the former sprint car ace in his 2nd Pocono race. Row number 10, Brett Bodine, 9 top 10 finishes here, ran very well in happy hour yesterday. And Robert Presley. The 11th row, Michael Waltrip, who scored his best career Winston Cup finish here at this track, and Terry Labonte, who will start that car and keep the streak going, but give way to relief driver Rich Bickle. Row 12 is Kevin LePage and rookie Matt Kenseth, who was fastest in happy hour yesterday, and the winner last time on TBS at Charlotte in May. Next, row 13 is where Dale Earnhardt comes from, alongside Ted Musgrave, who takes over the former Kenny Irwin car this week. Row 14, Kenny Wallace and Pennsylvania driver Jimmy Spencer. The 15th row, Ken Schrader with a couple of runner-up finishes here, alongside Chad Little, who starts 30th. Row 16, Wally Dallenbach finished 5th in this race a year ago, and Kyle Petty, a Pocono winner in June of '93. 17th row, Scott Pruitt, the rookie driver, alongside Sterling Marlin with 11 top 10s here. The 18th row will be Rick Mast and Elliott Sadler, the sophomore, driving for the famed Wood brothers. Row 19, Ward Burton, 4th in points, but had to take a provisional to get into this race, and Bobby Hamilton. The 20th row, Stacey Compton and Mike Bliss, a couple of rookie drivers, graduates from the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Row 21, Darrell Waltrip making his final Pocono start here, and Ed Barrier bringing up the rear of the field will be Dave Marcus, making his 41st Pocono start. Let's get some final stories from pit road before we go green, starting with Marty Snyder.
Well, Alan, perhaps a good theme for Rusty Wallace's weekend at Pocono could be Rusty's revenge. After leading the most laps here in June, a bad call on the final pit stop cost Wallace the win. Rusty said today he has the same car and virtually the same setup, and as Rusty said, no reason to believe they cannot be as dominant. But whether you have a good car or not at Pocono, it always seems to come down to the final pit stop. Make the right call and victory lane can be yours. Make the wrong call and learn the hard way like Rusty Wallace did here in June. The final pit stop at Pocono means everything. To Mike Massaro.
Well, when Ricky Rudd joined Robert Yates Racing at the beginning of the year, expectations have been high. However, so far in the year 2000, they're winless. In June, this team flirted with victory right here at Pocono, and even though they were involved in a mid-race altercation, they managed to score a season-high third-place finish. Today, they return with the exact same car and renewed confidence. They qualified 14th, but I talked with crew chief Michael McSwain earlier this morning. He said, don't worry, it's the same car, we're strong, and we'll be in contention for the victory once again this afternoon. To Mike Hogwood.
Terry Labonte is the true Iron Man of this series today. He starts his 655th consecutive race, but he's injured. A broken leg. He can't put any weight on it. So at the first caution, this man will climb on board. Rich Bickle sitting in the Labonte pit. He is ready to go and will get on board the number 5 Chevrolet at the first caution flag, but Terry Labonte will run the car early.
There is Dale Earnhardt Jr. dropping to the tail end of the field, as we told you, the backup car after the crash yesterday. And now we'll look down on this 2.5-mile, 3-cornered Pocono Raceway. Massive, massive racing facility. The most unique on the NASCAR Winston Cup Tour, shaped unlike any other. And let's get a little tour around this place, what the drivers face today. Buddy, you're best qualified to give us a spin. Take us around.
All right, starting from the start-finish line, down the longest straightaway in all of NASCAR, down into turn 1. They shift down there at 200 miles an hour, down in the 3rd gear. Coming off turn 1, if the front end takes off, you'll get in a wall there. Down Long Pond straightaway, about 185 to 190 miles an hour as you turn into the tunnel turn, which is very tricky right there. Even the best give way. Earnhardt says to Jeff Gordon, go on by. Not room for 2 people here, not safely. Through the short chute, headed for turn 3. About third gear there, about 160 miles an hour. But how you get through this corner dictates a perfect lap around the speedway and a lot of straightaway speed if you get a good entrance and exit out of turn 3.
Each of the corners shaped differently and banked differently than the other. Each of the straightaways of different length. It is a recipe for tremendously competitive racing, this Pocono Raceway.
There's the numbers that determine strategy, and here strategy can be more important than having the fastest car. It was here in June at the last race.
Expected pit window for fuel, right about 40 laps, about 100 miles they can make on a tank of gas. Most, though, will make their first pit stop at least around 35 laps, at the latest 38 in the opening window as far as fuel would be concerned. Got some great in-car camera rides for you today in our coverage of the Pennsylvania 500, starting with a man who's at the back of the field and has to make his way to the front. This is Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the backup car. He'll go from 43rd position. Ride with the current NASCAR Winston Cup championship leader, Bobby Labonte, who starts 13th. The defending series champion, Dale Jarrett, goes from 11th spot today. He's finished second the last 2 times here. Jeff Burton will also give us a ride. Burton from the 8th position on the grid there in his Roush Ford. And we've got cameras in the front 3 cars on the grid. Mark Martin starting inside of row number 2. And on the front row, we've got Rusty Wallace on the outside with a camera in his car. There's Rusty pulling the belts tight for a final time. And the pole sitter for today, Tony Stewart, with us yesterday in our coverage of the ARCA race here, as well as happy hour. And Tony will take us along as he pursues a victory here at Pocono today. Let's get more on Tony Stewart's car from Marty Snyder.
Yeah, Alan, before we even got going, Tony Stewart had a problem. They had a slow leak in the right front tire. NASCAR officials caught it, as well as Tony Stewart's team caught it. They allowed them to change the right front tire. They are very fortunate, though, that they caught it before the race. They just happened to be checking air pressures and noticed they had a slow leak, so Tony Stewart with a new right front tire on before the race starts.
Very fortunate that they caught that before they rolled off onto the track. Weather conditions today, I mentioned they were just perfect. I know a lot of you around the country have been suffering from that drastic heat wave that's affected so many people. Well, I want to tell you, here on top of the Pocono Mountains today, it is gorgeous. 68 degrees, low humidity. It's been perfect here all weekend.
And not any rain at all to interfere with the racing, very importantly.
Crews all getting set to go, thinking about their tasks at hand. The preliminaries are over. The team meetings have been held. The preparations have been made. Checking the notes, making sure everything's square. Checking the radios, making sure we're hearing the drivers. And just getting all cinched up and ready to go. The teams are just as the drivers are out on track.
First time in 38 races here at Pocono. The race will take the green flag without Jeffrey Bodine, who failed to make the field.
Yeah, Jeffrey along with Carl Long, the 2 drivers who were unable to qualify. This is the 46th NASCAR Winston Cup Series race here at Pocono. 20 different drivers have gone to victory lane over the years. 11 of them are in the field for this race. Bill Elliott, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, Bobby and Terry Labonte, Jeremy Mayfield, Kyle Petty. We've got a list of stars all set to go, chasing victory today in the Pennsylvania 500 presented by America Online. $2.5 million at stake as the field comes off the final corner. The pace car heads for pit road. 200 laps set as the NASCAR Winston Cup Series goes racing at Pocono. The green is out. Is in front of Stewart. He'll lead to turn 1. Three wide, back for 4th spot. Here's Gordon down low, going to try and get a couple of spots into the tunnel turn.
I'm wondering how long that camera's going to last down in the grass there. You can see 3 wide through the short chute. Now into turn 3 as they head down the home stretch here. Jeff Gordon trying to get by his teammate right now as they come off turn 4.
Wallace leads lap 1. Stewart is second. Mayfield to third. Now Jeff Gordon to 4th. And Mayfield settles in 5th.
Wallace has got an extremely strong horse, and he surely is smarting from the pit strategy that they took here last time, taking 4 tires on the final pit stop. Absolutely cost him the race. they may well use a different strategy today to decide what they're going to do hitting in that final pit stop.
You're in Tony Stewart's car looking back and forward, and I will tell you this, Tony Stewart's had a lightning fast car all weekend long, but he has two teammates on either end of him right now, so he really needs to worry about it a little bit. Now you see he's already dropped to third. Jeremy Mayfield moved into second.
And while we were on board Stewart's car, you heard him lift off the gas pedal there for a minute. Well, that's because Jeremy Mayfield had gotten to his inside, and so Mayfield goes to second spot. Here's John Andretti leading the charge down the front straightaway to the inside line, trying to get 10th spot away from Johnny Benson.
And this sort of looks like the green flags. You see them all fan out in the back of the pack. Everybody fighting for position. You can do that. You can go wide. Look at this squeeze getting into the first corner, though. Can't get through that first corner more than 2 wide. And sometimes even that is tough.
Rick Mast almost getting turned around as he and Scott Pruitt brushed together there, entering turn 1.
22, we're looking at the black and yellow car up there, Ward Burton's car. That's going to be an interesting one to watch today. They absolutely threw everything at it this morning. The pile on the floor in the garage included lead, spindles, hubs, 15 springs, brake pads. They had no idea how that was going to run as we watch from Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car.
Here come the lead two off of turn number 3. Hand out the window. I thought he just stuck the left hand out the window, waving at Jeremy. Come on by. Let's see how you can do out front.
And the reason they're doing that right now is they're checking the stopwatches to see which car is the quickest out front. If they can stretch away from third place there, Tony Stewart, they'll work together.
Jeff Gordon starting to put a little bit of pressure on Tony Stewart there for third position as he kind of joins our picture at the tail end of this lead group. There's Gordon there, closing in on Stewart. Stewart in the orange, number 20. And if you're a race fan at all, you know Gordon's colors are blue.
Exactly right.
Even if you're the most casual and most new NASCAR fan. You know Jeff Gordon. Here's Steve Park making a move farther back, trying to get a spot for Jerry Nadeau. That'd be for 7th and 8th positions.
Well, right at the moment, Jeremy Mayfield running racing away from his teammate. There's no strategy right there. He's just getting through the corners much better than Rusty Wallace. As the air pressure builds up in these tires, the grip will get better and the better balanced cars will move away. Right now, Jeremy Mayfield has a great car.
So Steve Park moving up into 7th spot we saw there, but all this going on behind Jeremy Mayfield, who has taken the lead away from Rusty Wallace. He is the 3rd driver to lead this Pennsylvania 500 presented by America Online. Just 4 laps complete out of 200 that make up today's distance. We're just underway. Stay with us. We'll be back.
The Pennsylvania 500, presented by America Online on the Superstation. Brought to you by America Online version 5.0. The easiest just got easier. Call 1-800-4ONLINE to sign up today. By Doc Otis, a new flavored alcohol malt beverage. Real lemon, real refreshment. Unlock the Doc. And by Midas. We're a whole new way to keep a good thing going. Go Midas.
In the early stages of the Pennsylvania 500, presented by America Online, live on TBS from Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania, Jeremy Mayfield is the leader. He took the lead from Rusty Wallace at lap 4 after Rusty started on the outside of the front row and led laps 1 through 3. Rusty is 2nd. Jeff Gordon is 3rd. That is a change of position. He's gotten around Tony Stewart to get that spot. And here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting to move up from the back of the field.
Yeah, he's caught Ward Burton just in front of him in the 22, that black and yellow car. Very quick through this area right here, the short chute. If they can get even right there, Ward Burton will let him go, and he'll make another spot there just in front of him, Pruitt.
Bit of a surprise he's running this well. They talked to his crew chief this morning, Tony Uri, and he said he'd thrown just about everything at it to try and make it run better. They've had virtually no practice time in this car, and the setup was at best a big gamble.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. started 43rd and last after pulling out the backup car. He just took the position from Ward Burton, and that would be the 32nd spot. So he has picked up a number of positions here in the opening 8 laps. Meantime, Dale Earnhardt, who came within a corner of winning here at Pocono 5 weeks ago, started in 25th position, and he has moved up 5 spots to 20th in the opening laps. Actually give him 19th now that he just went around Matt Kenseth. Now back toward the front, Jeremy Mayfield leads, but Rusty Wallace, the 2nd place car, has a couple of new pursuers. Jeff Gordon has moved to 3rd. And Bill Elliott has moved to 4th. Tony Stewart has just dropped back to 5th spot.
I think Tony right now has got some kind of gremlin with the handling on his car, or either he's just taking it easy and knows he has to adjust on that car because Mark Martin just got by him also.
Well, they had problems in happy hour as well yesterday on that number 20 car of Tony Stewart. The problem was that they had a problem with the brakes. The brakes were sticking going into the corner, and that will just throw the handling way, way off and confuse everybody trying to figure out what was going on. So they found the problem, they fixed the problem, but they really didn't get the use of happy hour the way they should have.
Let's ride with Tony here for a minute, see what we can deduce on how his car's performing.
Well, he's fast down the straightaway. He ran Mark Martin down a couple of car lengths through the corner and basically pretty still right there. I would say he's probably having a problem down in turn 1 because he looks very, very good in the flatter corners here.
Back up front. Change for 2nd spot. Jeff Gordon is by Rusty Wallace. So Gordon is on the move in the early going. Mike Massaro can add.
Well, Alan, some people say that silence is golden, and in the case of listening to the radio communication between Robbie Loomis, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, and his driver, you can certainly agree with that. They're talking very little, just passing along lap times. The one thing that Robbie Loomis did say to Jeff, he said, great job, keep after them, buddy. And you know, when they're not talking, that means they're good, and it's bad news for everybody else. And if you look at the lap times on the scoring monitor right now, you can see that the 24 car is the fastest on the racetrack.
Jeff Gordon had started in 5th position. In 10 laps, he is up to 2nd spot. Jeremy Mayfield leads at Pocono. We're coming back in just a minute here on TBS. TBS Superstation live at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania, where Jeff Gordon has just overtaken Jeremy Mayfield and moved to the head of the pack. Gordon doing it across the tunnel turn number 2. They're in turn 3 now. So Jeff Gordon becoming already the 4th different driver to lead this race in its opening 13 laps. Let's go back and take a look at Gordon making the move on Mayfield across the tunnel turn.
Okay, Mayfield starts into the tunnel turn, rolls out of the throttle right there. Gordon, just before entering the corner, he looks up, decides that he wants it, drives it deep into the corner there. Now he goes across there. And, you know, it's very important right now that these guys get one lap of leading the race. But Jeff Gordon has been phenomenal at this racetrack since he began here.
Now, some of what might be going on here, Jeremy Mayfield, it would not be unheard of for him to say, okay, let's let Gordon lead for a couple of laps and see how strong he is. And at the same time, it might just be that Mayfield running so hard in the opening laps, Gordon's just got a little bit better car on the long haul, and now that we've got 15 laps on the set of tires.
Well, the one thing they do have, they know just like we do, they have computers down there that they can look and see that Jeff Gordon had the fastest car. Why not let him go out there and draft along with him? Long straightaways here. See him getting right nose to tail down the straightaway. If they're draft off that car that pulls that second car along, why not take advantage of him being the fastest?
Let's get more on Jeremy Mayfield's car with Marty Snyder.
Well, Jeremy is certainly fast, and I just talked to Peter Spenzo, the crew chief, and he said this is what they were a little bit concerned about. They know they're going to be fast on the early part of the runs. They are very good on new tires, but as the run goes along, the car tends to get a little looser. That was the case in happy hour yesterday. It is the case right now in the race. Jeremy just a little bit loose, but he's still pretty happy, and with a fast race car, and yes, he did let Jeff Gordon go on by. Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
Well, Dale Jarrett is one of those who is not happy with his car early. He started 11th, now running 13th. Says he's really tight off the turns. Asked his crew a moment ago, what gear are we running? And he is not happy at the moment. They need to make some adjustments on that car.
And while we listen to the report on Dale Jarrett, Jeremy Mayfield returning in kind the pass on Jeff Gordon for the top spot.
And sometimes a fast race car out front is not good. Like Jeff Gordon was very good as he was going up and passing cars. He got out front, maybe he got a little push out front.
Well, the other neat thing here is that now Mayfield's had a chance to watch Gordon. He knows how his car runs at the various parts of the racetrack. Gordon has watched Mayfield. They've been able to size each other up. And as this race wears along, that's going to be really important to be able to know what your competitor can do.
Jeremy Mayfield, 2 of his 3 career Winston Cup wins coming here at Pocono Raceway. Let's go back and look at what happened again there. This time it was in turn number 3 that the pass was made.
Okay, Jeff Gordon just pushed out going into turn 3 there. He rolled out of the throttle just enough to get the front end nailed back down. He gets in behind Jeremy Mayfield, and on down the straightaway they go.
So Mayfield reassumes the point with Gordon second, Rusty Wallace third, Bill Elliott fourth, and now Jeff Burton has moved up into the fifth position, and he joins the top five. Just underway in the Pennsylvania 500, presented by America Online, Jeremy Mayfield, the early leader here at Pocono.
Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, presents the Bud Pole Award. The Pocono Raceway may be the most unique track on the NASCAR Winston Cup circuit, but like most tracks, doing well in Bud Pole qualifying is often a good indicator of good performance in the race. Nearly 60% of the race winners have started in the first two rows, although only 6 drivers have gone on to take the checkered flag in the race from the Bud Pole. The first driver to accomplish this feat was Darrell Waltrip, driving for Junior Johnson back in 1981. 2 years later, the late Tim Richmond was able to duplicate Waltrip's feat and win from the first starting position. In later years, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, Jeffrey Bodine, and Jeff Gordon all won from the Bud Pole at Pocono.
Back at Pocono Raceway just moments ago, down the short chute to turn number 3. Another trade of the lead between Jeff Gordon and Jeremy Mayfield. Here they are into the corner.
Well, across the tunnel turn there, and you can see the car just moving out there, and the 24th Jeff Gordon just rockets right on by as they head down toward the front straightaway.
So Gordon assumes the lead, and Rusty Wallace will take second from Jeremy Mayfield at the same time. Now riding with Mark Martin, who's lost a number of positions here. Dale Jarrett just went past him, putting Mark back to 12th spot. He is falling back now after starting the race in the 3rd position. Mike Massaro, what's going on with Martin?
And Alan, there's a reason why he's falling back. He's just radioed in. He's got a severe vibration. We're with crew chief Jimmy Fenning. We're going to try to ask him what's wrong. Jimmy, what's wrong with the car right now?
It's vibrating right now. He thinks he might have lost the cylinder. We're not sure right now, but he's going to ride for a while and see what goes on.
We'll have to wait, but Mark Martin did radio it in and thought that it might be terminal. We'll have to pay attention to that. Guys?
Wow.
Look, he led 9 of the last 10 races here. If anybody deserves to win here at Pocono, it surely is Mark Martin. Half his finishes, top 5, never has won here. It's won just 4 racetracks where he's never won, and they sure want to win today for Tara Howell, who is Sean Parker's fiancée at Wake Forest Hospital. Open heart surgery for her. She is on all their minds today at Pocono, and ours as well.
Here's 2nd spot. Jeremy Mayfield going to try and get back around Rusty Wallace. Turn number 1. Look at Mayfield catch the rumble strips on the bottom of the racetrack. Shot him right up off the bottom lane.
And Rusty, he's just very patient there, shifting gears as he goes through the corner down this long back straightaway there.
Napa Field summary, upper left of your screen. Throughout the afternoon, lets you know where all your favorite drivers are running. Bill Elliott running in 4th position now. Former Winston Cup champion. Started in 7th. He's moved up a few positions in the opening 22 laps. Let's go to pit road and hear more on Bill Elliott from Marty Snyder.
Well, when I talked to Bill this morning, he said, you know what, I would just like to finish a race. That'd be a nice change of pace for me. He has not finished better than 31st twice in the last 8 races here. He's had struggles here at Pocono. Bill just reported in the car's a little bit loose in, a little bit tight off, and then a few seconds later he came back onto his radio and said, guys, I'm pretty happy though. So Bill Elliott running pretty well right now.
Marty talked about Bill's struggles to finish here in Pocono the last several races. The last few races of 2000 have been absolutely brutal for Bill. Finishes of 38th, 35th, 38th, and 24th in the last 4 races. So Elliott running 4th right now behind Jeff Gordon, who's leading the Pennsylvania 500 presented by America Online. You ride with Mark Martin as he makes a very disappointing left turn into the garage area. The report from pit road moments ago that there was a vibration on his car, and then this is what happened just a lap ago. That's the access road on the inside of the 2nd corner that he hung the left onto.
Yeah, and he was, you could tell he was pretty upset because of the speed he was carrying when he turned across that little area there.
His gloves are coming off. Mark knows his day is done. So Mark not going to continue that streak of top 10 finishes here at Pocono. Let's ride with him now as it went awry, basically.
About a turn 1.
Shifts gears, and that's it right there when he shifted gears.
Third DNF of the year. This guy one day is going to be the Winston Cup champion, but with 3 DNFs already this deep into the season, it'll be tough to do it this year.
So Mark Martin looks like he's going to be the first driver out of today's Pennsylvania 500 as he climbs from the car in the garage area. The caution is out, and here come all of the leaders to the opening of pit road. Stops will be at lap number 26. We expect the Terry Labonte driver change to be made here. We'll document that for you in a moment. First, let's look at some pit stops. Gordon is in. Mayfield, Wallace. In fact, everybody except for Dave Marcus will come to pit road here. Here comes Mayfield to the attention of his crew. Long pit road here at Pocono. Now he gets there.
Yeah, it's a good thing, too. Every single car, 42 of them here to Mike Hogwood.
Rich Bickle's got his leg up on the pit wall. His helmet is on. He is ready to climb aboard the number 5 Chevrolet. Terry Labonte did give the team some instructions, says they were loose in 1 and 3, so they are making some major adjustments on that number 5 Chevrolet. They are going to have to help him get out of the car. Remember, he doesn't need to put any weight on that leg. And he is out, and they will help him over the wall. Rich Bickle is climbing on board and will go the rest of the way. They've taken that side window off so a crew member can get in and help him strap in and try to make this as quick as possible. If this pit stop had come under green, Terry Labonte had said he was going to keep going, but Labonte on crutches now. The Iron Man, 655 consecutive starts, but he's out of the car and out of the race now, trying to get that leg healthy. We'll talk to him in just a moment.
And if this pit stop for the driver change had come at any other racetrack, they wouldn't have the kind of leisurely time they have here at Pocono to make the change, service the car, and get Rich Bickle out without losing a lap. It's almost 2 minutes per caution lap here. Rusty Wallace off pit road first. We'll get set for the restart when we come back in a moment. Back at Pocono Raceway, looking down on the Pennsylvania 500, presented by America Online. We're under the caution flag, and Bill Elliott is the race leader. I told you that Rusty Wallace got off pit road first, but that was because Elliott has the first pit stall at the end of the pit lane. Watch Rusty with his momentum built up coming down the pit lane, and then watch Elliott leave from his stall right there. Watch the line.
Well, he got it.
Elliott there first.
Yep.
So even though Rusty had momentum and continued past him, Elliott got the nose of his car to that stripe first, and that's what it takes. Bill Elliott is your leader. Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
Terry Labonte, as we documented, the Iron Man of this sport, no racer wants to get out. How hard was that to climb out of that race car, Terry?
It was hard, but after what happened to us at Loudon up there, I really couldn't take a chance on getting involved in a wreck and messing my leg up any worse. I think by the time we get to Indy, it's going to be okay, and so we got another off weekend next weekend, so it was the best thing to do. I hated it for our Kellogg's team there, but these guys are doing a good job. Rich is going to do a good job. He ran good up here last year, and I think we got a pretty good car there, so we'll see what he can do. Terry
Labonte's day is done, but he wants to be ready for Indy, so he's going to call it an afternoon.
Well, another guy whose day is done, unfortunately, is Mark Martin. The Roush machine has just been pushed behind the wall. And, Mark, what happened?
We broke something in the engine, in the top end valve train or something or other, and did that about 10 laps ago, and then ran about 10 laps, and then had a catastrophic failure there.
His third DNF of the year. Mark Martin has 14 top fives here at Pocono. It will not be a 15th. To Marty Schneider.
Well, Dale Earnhardt came in 12th, came out 28th, and this is the reason why. Ron Otto's air gun, the lug nut stuck in the air gun, and it's stuck on there, and the front tire changer had to change the rest of the lugs, however, on Dale Earnhardt's car. So he came out 28th, came in running 12th. Jeremy Mayfield came in running second, a little loose. They took out some wedge in the right rear. That should tighten him up just a little bit. And Bill Elliott came out with a lead with a fast stop. He was a little loose in, a little tied off. They added 1 pound of right foot air pressure. That should tighten him up going into the corners. And they went up on the track bar. That should loosen him up coming off.
And in fact, further updating the Dale Earnhardt situation, because where the scoring line is in the center of pit road, he's actually in 35th position by the time the restart line shakes itself out. Before and after pit stops, great job by Bill Elliott's team, gaining him the race lead. See Rusty Wallace's crew picking him up a spot. In fact, everybody except Jeff Gordon's on that panel gaining positions.
You don't see Jeremy Mayfield real close up there, though.
He is back in 7th position. There's Mayfield's car.
Park had a good stop. Yep. He's now running in 6th position. Keep your eye on that yellow number 1 today. That could be a real strong car. He had a tough qualifying run just because he took it so easy. Here in June, he was on the gas hard in qualifying and wound up wrecking his primary car, so he decided to featherfoot it during qualifying this time around and started in the 10th position. Right now, he's running in 6th spot. They've got a good car and a good team.
So let's set the restart order for you as we get set to go back at it. Bill Elliott is out front. Rusty Wallace is 2nd. Jeff Gordon is 3rd. 4th is Jeff Burton, and Tony Stewart is 5th. Steve Park is 6th. Jeremy Mayfield 7th. Bobby Labonte 8th. Ricky Rudd 9th. And Dale Jarrett is 10th. And the rest of the top 15, Jerry Nadeau, Johnny Benson, Joe Nemechek, Matt Kenseth, and John Andretti. Pace cars off. We'll get set to go back at it again. As down to the inside, it is Dave Marcus trying to get a lap back from race leader Bill Elliott. Mayfield's not wasted any time trying to gain a couple of those lost spots back. He's up to the outside of Park for 7th. And to the inside of Stewart for 6th.
No way that camera's going to survive. Somebody's going to flatten that out, I'm sure. They put the rumble strips at the inside of the 3rd turn and also the 2nd turn. That helps keep the drivers from running too tight. It used to be that they put 2 wheels right in the infield here at Pocono to try and get some extra speed. They can't do that anymore.
Elliott, your leader.
Boy, he's going really well. He's having a terrific run this afternoon.
As the field busts its way back into turn number 1. 30 laps complete, coming up on the 100-mile mark in the Pennsylvania 500. He's not in the race. We'll be back. Coming up Tuesday night, 7:35 Eastern on the Superstation, the Florida Marlins visit the Atlanta Braves. Catch all the Braves action only on the Superstation. Under yellow here at Pocono for Sterling Marlin's blown engine. He's dropped quite a bit of oil down one of the straightaways, so while we have the opportunity under the yellow, let's get in another break and come back for the restart.
After 34 laps, 85 miles have been completed with the 200 to be run. Elliott's the story right now. 6 lead changes, 2 cautions for 7 laps, and very slow after a couple of cautions with blown engines here in the early going. Guy you see on drag strips, you see on short tracks all over the Midwest and the Automobile Racing Club of America. Once in a while doing a little football. Guy named Glanville. Jerry Glanville is with us right now as well. Jerry, watching Bill Elliott out here, I understand he made some big changes this morning as far as the personnel down on pit road.
Well, they got out on the pit stop, and what they did, they took the rear tire changer, moved him to the front, took the front tire changer, moved him to the rear, and said, we're going to be faster just by switching these 2 tire changers, and they got him out first.
Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
And we're in the garage with Sterling Marlin, who loves this racetrack, but not today. You're not in love with it.
Yeah, I usually run pretty good. I really enjoy racing here and have had some real good runs, but we had all the right springs and shocks and the motor, but it was all on the truck. So we was kind of off on it early. We tried a chassis combination that we never had run here. It's just real tight, and we got the caution come in. I think we got it fixed about halfway, and then run like 2 laps and lost something in the engine. But the Coors Light team worked real hard, and we'll just come back next week and try to get them again.
Sterling Marlin certainly disappointed today at a racetrack that, as we have documented, is very tough on motors, Ken.
Yeah, tough on motors, Jerry. And I think the big point here is about this shifting. You can't use that shifter for a brake.
And that's exactly what Sterling Marlin did. While he was going into turn 1, he downshifted. And I drive for Ernie Elliott. Ernie Elliott tells me, you better get slower with the brake and get faster with downshifting. And Sterling was doing just the opposite.
Mayfield is having a very good day, and he made some big changes this morning.
What shocked me about Mayfield, very fast qualifying, tremendous in the happy hour, and then this morning he changed the rear ends. He said, I don't like to feel the rear end. I want more camber in the right rear tire, and so they changed rear ends at 8 o'clock this morning.
So there you have it, a story on a couple of the principles here from the man himself, the coach, Glanville. And we'll be back with more of the Pennsylvania 527th Annual from Pocono, Pennsylvania, following these messages.
The Pennsylvania 500, presented by America Online on the Superstation. Brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks. The most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Midas, we're a whole new way to keep a good thing going. Go Midas. By Wendy's Classic Hamburgers, it's hamburger bliss. And by Circuit City, the official electronics and appliance store of NASCAR.
Back at Pocono Raceway, we're less than a lap away from the restart. About half the field chose to come in and top off the fuel on this last lap of caution. Dale Earnhardt among those who came in. Mike Skinner still sitting there and waiting to rejoin the end of the field. We'll get a follow-up report on that in a minute. Coming next Sunday on CBS, a young fan gets a magic ticket into the movie world of his favorite action film character, Miss Arnold Schwarzenegger, in the Superstation premiere of Last Action Hero. It's next Sunday only on the Superstation. Let's go down to pit road. Marty Snyder.
Well, most of these guys in the back, Alan, decided to come in basically because this will put them back on mostly a normal pit stop schedule. Pit stop should normally come around lap 40, currently lap 36, so this should put them on a normal schedule. Earnhardt also took advantage of the yellow to ask Kevin Hamlin a question, his crew chief. He said, "How the right front look after that last one?" Hamlin replied, "It looked pretty good." Earnhardt's response, "So I can lay on it this time." Hamlin said, "Go for it." So Earnhardt's charge from the back should be pretty good. Let's go to Mike Massaro.
Well, guys, some interesting radio communication going on right now. Jeff Gordon had just radioed in to Robbie Loomis, and he says the car runs extremely well in the clean air. However, if somebody gets behind him, he gets extremely loose. Well, the Ricky Rudd team was listening in on that conversation, and Ricky Rudd's spotter radioed out to him. He told them that information. Ricky Rudd's response was, "Thanks for the information. I'll try to make it as painless as possible." Guys.
Green flag is in the air. Gordon running third, Rudd fourth, behind Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace. And after a somewhat lengthy cleanup, we're back racing once again. Here comes Mayfield. He's looking for fifth spot on Jeff Burton into the corner. 71 car there. Second one in line is Dave Marcus. He is a lap down.
Only guy who is a lap down who is still running right now is Dave Marcus in the 71. All the rest of these cars are on the lead lap.
And the bad part about that right at the moment is these guys, to catch the leader right at the moment, needs to be in front of Dave Marcus, and he's circling right around in the way.
Back with Robert Presley, a little deep in the field in some pretty heavy traffic. Robert running in 20th position. Our telemetry, one of the cars we have the wires hooked up on, Robert Presley's machine is. Let's take a look at what kind of a top speed he gets in traffic down this front straightaway. We saw in happy hour yesterday, a couple of guys get up to...
Whoa, trouble right in front of him. Pruett and the 11 of Bodine came together. That was almost a big
clear
wreck.
all around, all clear.
Whoa.
You see the hand signals there. That's the way drivers communicate with the car behind them. They put their hand up like that to let them know that a couple of cars got together there and they wasn't up to speed.
Good timing on the telemetry shot.
Yeah. So what I started to say was, sorry, in happy hour yesterday, they got up to about 197, 198 at the end of that front straightaway.
I saw 9,000 RPM there before he shifted gears there. About 158. Now there's right at 175 across the short chute, 183.84 into the corner.
Inside of Scott Pruett in turn number 3. Bill Elliott, the race leader. Rusty Wallace in second. Have opened up a little gap on Jeff Gordon in third. Ricky Rudd in fourth. And Jeremy Mayfield, who runs fifth. As you see the interval between them. 100 miles complete when the leaders come back around to the start-finish line.
Citgo presents Who Won? Last year's Pennsylvania 500 at Pocono was one of the most exciting in the track's 25 years of hosting NASCAR Winston Cup races. There were 27 lead changes among 15 drivers and several high-speed accidents, which brought out the caution flag 9 times for a total of 49 laps. There were several serious contenders for the win. Pole sitter Mike Skinner led the most laps on the day, dominating the first half of the race. Jeff Gordon took 2 turns at the front before shredding a tire and dropping off the pace. And Steve Park made a run at his first career victory, leading his latest lap 167. But who won? It was Bobby Labonte, completing his season sweep of both Pocono races, leading the final 33 laps for his second victory at Pocono of the 1999 season.
Back at Pocono, the Pennsylvania 500 presented by America Online. A moment ago, the lead changing hands. This is Rusty Wallace on the move.
Down the long pond straightaway as they head towards the tunnel turn. Been a very popular place for lead changes today as Rusty Wallace looks to the inside. Bill rolls out of the throttle, lets him go on down in the corner. And we have another leader now, Rusty Wallace.
And on that same straightaway a lap later, the yellow is out once more.
Kaboom! Another blown engine. This time John Andretti for his second engine launch of the weekend. Meanwhile, right now, down on pit road, in comes the leader, Bill Elliott, on pit road.
Now you've just given up the lead to Rusty. Remember, so this is second place. Bill Elliott is in. Most of the other front runners have stayed out. Some of the cars in the middle of the field have pitted. Let's cover the Elliott stop.
And the reasoning for the Bill Elliott stop is Mike Ford, one of the crew chiefs for Bill Elliott's team, feels like this will put them inside their fuel window. They're going to change right side tires only. The car actually going to change 4 tires now. That was a last second call by Mike Ford. They are going to change 4 tires. The car is very good. They will make no adjustments on Bill Elliott's car. And the advantage of doing this is it puts them inside their fuel window and a 17.3 second stop.
Fuel window meaning that they can make the race on a certain number of pit stops from here to the finish on the mileage that they get with a full tank.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that works. The engines are blowing up here. Those calculations are going to be tough to make. And we're talking about those engine failures. The guy who builds the engines on John Andretti's car, we just saw it go up in smoke. And I had a conversation this morning, and I said, when you guys are turning these motors up around 9,000 RPM, what's the most fragile part? Is it pistons or rods or valve train or what? He said, Dick, it's absolutely everything. They threaten every single part of these engines. They're all running now with very light components to make the most possible horsepower. Coming into today, there had been 34 engine DNFs in just the last 6 races here. We've had 3 today.
So Bill Elliott gives up second spot for a pit stop under caution. We'll check where he'll restart in just a moment. Back to Pocono in a moment. Rusty Wallace's crew chief Robin Pemberton and the other brain trust of the Penske Racing South team making their calculations after deciding to leave Rusty on the racetrack. Under this caution flag, he is the leader of the Pennsylvania 500. And that is not the ride Mark Martin expected to have today. Mark, one of 3 drivers out of the event early with engine failures. Mark went out at lap 25, Sterling Marlin at lap 31, and now John Andretti at lap 41, all with power plants that have failed in the opening 100 miles of this event.
That's Robert Yates right there, Dale Jarrett's crew chief, car owner.
And a man with power plants that are well known for their horsepower and reliability.
Yeah, they handle in a straight line usually very well.
All right, we're getting set to go back at it. Field comes off the corner. Let's update you that Bill Elliott, giving up second spot for the pit stop, is back in 27th now. STACY Compton came down pit road. Michael Waltrip was in, Brett Bodine, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt, Ken Schrader. Just some of the cars that stopped under this caution, and the green is back in the air.
As you can see, it's not just a ride in the park. You can see him fighting that car as he goes through the corners. As the air pressures and the heat gets back in the tires, they handle a little bit better. But Rusty is one of those drivers that really works on the steering wheel when he goes through the corners. See him right there, just correcting just a little bit to keep it in a good straight line as he starts up out of the corner.
Now you notice Rusty did not shift into 4th gear on that long pond straightaway that a lot of the others have been.
I've noticed 2 or 3 of the cars that are already out of the race today are the people that have shifted 4 times around the racetrack. Rusty shifts just past the start-finish line here. Watch him jerk it right there, and as he starts down into turn 1, he'll shift back again.
While you watch Rusty lead Jeff Gordon and Jeremy Mayfield, we are just past 100 miles. Let's take a look at the full field in the upper left of your screen. Wallace, Gordon, and Mayfield are the top 3. All have led laps earlier in the event. Ricky Rudd has had a very nice day so far. He's moved up from 14th starting spot. And Steve Park solidly in the top 10 all race long. He started 10th. There's Dale Jarrett, who's moved up to the 7th position. Bobby Labonte started 13th. He runs 8th. And Johnny Benson running well in the early going also. Jerry Nadeau fell back in the opening laps from 6th starting spot. Now he's starting to kind of pick his way forward. There's Tony Stewart, the pole sitter, his car ill handling in the opening segment of this race. And now he is trying to pick his way back after losing ground early in the run. Burton started way at the back of the field. He started in 37th position. He's up to 16th. And now we're going to start to get back into some of those who made the top off the fuel pit stops under this caution, like Michael Waltrip, Kenny Wallace, and Ed Berrier, and Dale Earnhardt, and so on. Earnhardt had a lug nut that hung on a pit stop earlier, dropped him way back to 28th position at the time, and now he's trying to make up lost ground from there. Again, just the 3 cars out of the race, Andretti, Marlin, and Martin all out with engine failures. The 3 cautions that we've had have all been for those problems, and that is the way things stand here just after 100 miles in this Pennsylvania 500.
How many times in races this year have we seen this scene? Rusty Wallace leading early in the event, leading lap after lap after lap, only at the end to go home disappointed. It has been the talk of the garage this weekend, surely around the Penske car. What strategy do they need to use in order to close the deal today, in order to finally win when they have the very best race car? They have led more laps and more miles this year than anybody, but just 1 win so far.
The most recent retiree in the event is with Mike Hogwood now.
And it's John Andretti, who had motor problems qualifying, motor problems today. What is it about this racetrack that is so tough on these motors?
It's these long straightaways. You're just on them so long. You're in high RPM. And the motor builders, I mean, a lot of being asked of them to build more powerful engines. And to do that, you got to lighten up the stuff. And therefore, it gets weaker. But my qualifying in this problem is unrelated. This one was a big blowout. The other one was just a thing.
Tough day for the driver of car 43, John Andretti.
He's going to finish 41st out of 43 in this one. Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr. in some heavy traffic. Jr. running in 28th spot.
I saw his hand go up in the air. With all that traffic, if that was me, I'd raise my hand and say, can I leave now?
You wouldn't.
Man,
if that were you right there, yes, you would raise your hand. Both of them probably.
Yeah.
And ask for forgiveness for being there. But as they come off the corner, Earnhardt right now is putting Dave Marcus back just in front of him, Jimmy Spencer, as he's trying to fight his way up to the front, but he's just not handling the way he wants to handle.
Don't forget, this is a backup car after a practice crash here on Saturday. New second place runner, Jeremy Mayfield, around Jeff Gordon to pick up the number 2 spot. So Mayfield, one of the early leaders in this event, trying to maneuver his way back to the head of the line. 48 laps in to the Pennsylvania 500, presented by America Online at Pocono.